Alright students, so I'm thinking by now you have this and maybe you have a bunch more moons and whatever. Today I'm going to be showing you how to do some effects on these to make them look a little bit more convincing like real planets. And we're going to be using some of the effects up here. But first, let's give this thing a light source. We'll make a sun for it, and I'll tell you more about the sun tomorrow. So for now I'm just going to use this, and I will make this white, just to represent that is our light source. So that's going to be what's illuminating our planets. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take select the planet, and I'm going to use the gradient tool. And if I go right next to it, you'll see this little rotation thing up here. Let's rotate it so it's pointing at the sun and move it. So there we go. Let's take this one as well. I'll use the selection tool, and you know, in reality, planets are probably going to actually be in a line, but we'll just go ahead and, you know, this is fantasy, so that's fine. And you could just rotate the planet. I guess that would work. That's one way to do it. Or you could rotate the gradient. It's up to you. But let's say that for now, that's pretty good. Those are pretty much pointing towards my light source, and they have some sort of fixed point there. So now let me just show you a couple of effects you can use. When you're doing effects, you pretty much want to stay up here in the Illustrator effects. If you go down to here to Photoshop, they tend to kind of screw up the image, and I'll show you what I mean. If we do something like this, let me just get that nice big spray here. Well, look what happens to the edges. It does not look very good. So you don't really want to use the Photoshop ones in Illustrator. So I'll stick to Illustrator ones. And let's say that I want this one to look a little bit fuzzy. Feather is kind of the best way to do that. And if you preview it, you can see how much. And I want to give this one a nice feather. I want this to be a gas planet. So let's completely make it look like it's not a real planet. And then I'm going to do something to this. I'm going to duplicate it. And you're going to use this little trick a lot today. And on this bottom one, I'm going to really mess it up. Using these Svg filters, you can actually do all sorts of weird stuff. So let me just, I don't know. I'm sure I could think of some better ones, but let me just do, no, not that one. Svg filters. Let's just do, let's try alpha 4. Okay, cool. So then I'm going to take this one and I'm going to stick it on top. And actually I want this one to be on top, so I'll go to my layers here and just pull that up there. And let me just stick this one underneath, and you'll know that they're locked when it says center. So that one on top, it just kind of gives it a little bit more of kind of a fuzzy look to it. And I don't know, it's not bad. I'm sure you guys can do much better if you put your minds to it. Let me show you another little thing you could do. Let's say I want to put, like, I don't know, this is kind of like an Earth-like planet. Let's put some land mass on it. So you get my pencil out, and I'm just going to switch to kind of a dark green here. Oops, better start drawing first. I'll just go ahead and just draw some random shapes, and again, just gonna go with kind of a dark green, something like that. You can change it later. And let me throw another little continent here, put some land on it. And I'm not gonna be too careful. You guys could probably get the path tool out and do a much better job with this. Let me just move it over here to the side so we don't have to be as tricky. And again, just kind of go with that dark green color. And maybe, you know, higher up there would, or lower down, there would be some ice. And so we could get the pencil out and we could do something a little bit, you know, like white or whatever. So I'll just kind of go around here with that. And it's not looking very real. And that's mostly because it's going to not conform to the contours of the curve. So if we do a couple tricks, let me just add one more here. We can make it look like these planets are part of, these continents are part of the planet a lot better. And here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to take the planet and I'm going to duplicate it just by holding down Alt. Just move it off to the side here. And then let me just make sure that it's above the continents. And I'll do that by finding the duplicated planet. And I know you'll know that that's the one selected because it's got a little red dot right there. You could also do this just to double check. I'm going to pull it all the way to the top right here. And then, oh, didn't get all the way. And then I'm going to put it back right in the center. And then check this out. I'm going to change the mode of this so that it's a mode that we can see through. So if you go in here to your transparency options, you could just pull the opacity down, and that would kind of work. But there's a better way. Try this. Try multiply. Go under here under modes. And if you've taken me for GIMP, last year, you probably know what this is. But just try multiply, and boom, that's looking like a planet. You'll notice that this part kind of peaks up a little bit, so I'll just use the arrow keys to pull it down. And I got a little spot right there too on that path, but just push it over, and that looks pretty convincing. I might even want to throw an effect on these to make them a little bit rougher. And so if I went into, like, I don't know, distort and let's just roughen them up a little bit, and you can just preview that right there. It's not amazing, but that's fine, whatever. Let's just set it to smooth. And is there anything else we can do? Distort and transform. I don't know. I'd like to add a little bit of grain on there, but I'll just go ahead and say for now that that's going to be fine. Because any of these things, they pretty much just completely mess it up. I don't really want that, so let's just leave it like that. Let me go back to my other planet now, and there we go. I like it. I'll leave that one alone for now. Let's say that you could also like do craters, so you could just get the circle out and just kind of draw your own little craters on there. And I would just recommend switching to black and white in that case, and just have no fill. So there we got a little crater. It doesn't look very convincing, and that's because it's dark and it doesn't really match the lighting of the object. So you could play around with these effects. There's a couple that kind of try to do some shadow stuff. So if you wanted to play around with that, like a drop shadow, and maybe we can, somehow get it to happen that way. It's not easy. You're gonna have to kind of experiment, and maybe you'll find a tip that you can share with the other people in the class, and maybe it'll work really well. But it's just kind of gonna be a trial and error type of thing for now. So I don't really see that doing much at all. Let me just try feathering it. And right now it's way too high. I'll just have to do like 2 pixels probably. A little bit more. It still doesn't look that good, but it's at least it's better. At least it's kind of like, if you zoom out, you can kind of get the idea that it's a crater. Group things when you're done. That'll make it easier for you to work with these. Now, when I group this, when I go to select this one, I'm not getting the background. That's because it's a locked layer. If you didn't set the background as a different layer, it makes this a lot harder. But now that it is, it'll all move together. And I got my moon here. So play around with effects today. It actually looks pretty cool from a distance when you don't zoom in, having that feather on it. I could definitely see that being a crater. And if I made a whole bunch of them, I think that would work. So just like rotate it so that it kind of matches the contours, and just change the size of them and stuff. And yeah, I actually kind of dig that. I think that's pretty neat. From far away, it really definitely looks like there's some sort of crater stuff going on. And I'm making it oval because the closer you'd get to the edge here, the more flattened out it would be. And if you had like one right in the center, you could make it a little bit more circular and round, and that's fine. Yeah, I kind of like that. Not bad. All right, so experiment with the effects today and make your planets more interesting. And on the next video, I'll talk to you about the sun and how to make that even better. All right, thanks for watching, guys.